when we were contacted about speaking today, it was social media and traditional media. How do they work together? So I'm going to go over that really quick. But I think it's better if we open it up to questions so that we talk about what you're interested in. So I'm going to go over a few things just to give you a bit of an overview of what it's all about. But I'd rather talk about what you're interested in. So if you have any questions, don't wait to the end. Fire up your hand or just shout out if I'm not looking your way, and we'll talk about whatever you're interested in. So the first thing is your customer's world. I want to talk to you about that because ultimately that's the reason we're in business, is for customers. If not, it's called a hobby, right? So we're out there to win clients, win customers, build our business. So I just want to talk to you about what does your customer's world look like today. So first one is they have less time. Every one of you in this room has less time than you did before because there's more demands on you. Every one of your customers are the same way. So they're time strapped. More choice. They can buy what you sell just about anywhere now, around the world, with the click of a mouse. So your competition has increased tenfold. 3,000 messages a day. Now this number is hard for some people to believe, but every one of us and every one of your customers is exposed to over 3,000 messages a day. Just think about that number. Now you block out 99.9% of them. You only let in what's relevant. Did any of you listen to the radio today? Do any of you remember any radio commercials you heard? Wow, those people are upset. You don't remember their commercials. So we're bombarded with messages. We read the newspaper. We go online. We look at the signs down the road. You drive down Ontario Street, right? How many billboards and logos on your shirts. All those things are competing for your attention, and you're blocking almost all of them out. You're only letting in information that's relevant. Same for your customers. Information at their fingertips. Many of your customers can walk into your store and know as much as you do, or think they do, which sometimes is very dangerous. But they can find out a lot of information. They can find out about you. And no longer does your customer just Google your business, they're going to Google you as an individual. See that picture of you with the wine bottle at the latest golf tournament? Oh, I don't know if I want to do business with her, right? So everything that's online is forever. So if you wouldn't put it on a billboard or on the front page of a newspaper, don't put it online. More demands on them. Many people in their jobs especially have to do more because their companies have shrunk, but the requirements of them have not. They've actually increased. How many of you are finding you're having to do more in your business than you ever have before, right? You're stretched more and more and more. Well, the same with your customers. And the last thing is technology is everywhere. How many of you have mobile phones? Right? How many years ago that would have been, it was the giant ones that you'd have to have a car battery attached to your belt. Remember that, Ted? Now it's everywhere. You can get anything you want on your phone. So this is what your customer's world looks like. And on top of this, you're trying to get their attention to tell them what you sell. What you sell. Okay? You're trying to sell them something. Sorry about that. I'm a bit of a pacer, so I have to kind of clear the room here. So because of that, you have to get smarter about how you market. So let's go into the next step. For a sale to happen, there's a bunch of things that need to happen, and they're subconscious, but they happen with every customer, and they happen with you when you're buying something. The first thing is they have to have a need, and I mean a real need. There's a need and a want. There's a difference between them, but they have to need something. But that doesn't mean I'm going to buy anything until there's some urgency there. So yes, I need a new car, but this one runs pretty good, so I'll just keep it. There's not any urgency there. So sales don't happen until what I have no longer works. If what I have works fine, I'm not going to be in the market for something new. So think about that. When a customer is talking to you, what they have no longer works. That's why they're giving you their time. Next is awareness. Do they know who can even help them? So when they do have a need and it's urgent, who is out there? Are they even aware you exist? Are you marketing on a continuous basis? Are you always in front of your potential market? Trust. Do they believe you will deliver on what you say? That is critical. Or do you have other people telling your story? Do you have other people saying that you can do what you can do? Are any of you on the tool LinkedIn? Anybody here on LinkedIn? There's a great part of that called recommendations, where people can recommend you on there. And it's a wonderful feeling when you get unsolicited recommendations. You're just working away and somebody says, Larry's a great guy and I worked with him and this is what he did. It's like, wow, that's great. You can put that on your page. LinkedIn is replacing the resume. LinkedIn is now the #1 online tool for recruiters. It's replacing it. It's the place where I can go and find out about all of your work experience, volunteer experience, education, who's recommended you, who you've recommended, who you're connected with, what you're reading, what you're watching, what kind of content you're producing, what your online presence is like. I can find all of that out through LinkedIn. And if I'm an employer, that's very valuable information. Can they relate to your brand? Your brand is not your logo. It's not. Logo is an important part of it, but it's one little tiny piece. Your brand is everything you do that touches the customer. From how the person answers the phone, to what your website looks like, to how disgusting your parking lot is or isn't, to what it's like when I first walk in your store, to what it's like when I first use your product. All of those things add up to what your brand is to me. And every person has a different experience with your brand. So we could go talk to 10 of your customers, Ted, and they may give me 10 different answers. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if they're all 10 positive things. But what's your brand known for? And can I relate to your brand? Because people have to see something of themselves in a brand for them to want to be connected with it. When you have choices in front of you and all things are the same, price is usually the deciding factor, right? So what can you do to get away from that price war? And last is the experience. It's not about customer service anymore. That's a given. If you're not giving good customer service, you're probably going to be out of business or already are. It's about the experience you're leaving me with. There's an old saying, they won't remember what I said, they'll remember how I made them feel. You guys ever heard that saying? That's an old one, right? It's so true. You know, I bought something from Staples the other day online, and it was a nightmare. They screwed up the order, and all these things were problematic. And then I got a call yesterday, and she made me feel happy and took care of everything. And that's all I remembered was that last phone call. And I forgot about the 2 days before where they ruined everything. Right? It's how they made me feel. So all of these things have to happen for you to sell something. I have to need it. I have to be urgent that I want to change. I have to be aware of who can help me. I have to trust you to relate to your brand. And I have to have a great experience, especially if I want to come back. So all of these things are important when you're using traditional media, direct marketing, and social media. So that's what I want to spend a couple minutes on. We're okay for time? So 3 ways to connect with your market today. I like this guy. He almost looks like Jim Carrey, but it's not him. There's three distinct ways today to connect with your market. The first is traditional. You know, billboards, print. You guys are putting together a brochure, right? That's traditional marketing. It's still relevant. Some people will tell you it's not. It is. It's still relevant, but it also has its place and it also has its limitations. Primarily because it's one way. It's just you shouting at the marketplace. Hey, look at me. You're trying to interrupt someone. That's what traditional marketing is all about, is interruption. It still has its place. It's still relevant, but it's not as effective as it used to be. Now you need to combine it with other elements. The other element is what we call direct. That's either you're a salesperson going out or somebody's visiting your store or you're picking up the phone or you're sending an email. You're making direct contact. Now the great part about this is it's two-way communications. And your goal and your role isn't to sell me. Your role is to qualify me. Am I worth your time? Am I the right customer? Do I have a fit? Can you actually help me? That's what your role is. If you answer those questions, I will gravitate to you and want to buy from you. If you try to sell me, then you are, in essence, tricking me, and I probably won't come back. Because people don't like to be sold to, but they like to buy. So if you help me buy something, that's different than selling. And the last one is social media. And the great thing about social media is it's multi-channel. You can post something on a social media network and have thousands of people look at it and spread it and share it with their connections. And there's something on social media called shared credibility. That is a wonderful thing, and it's also something you need to be aware of. That if you are on social media and you recommend someone, just like in this group, if you recommend someone, you're lending your credibility to that recommendation, right? It's the same thing on social media. Hey, read this article. I thought it was great. Well, it's a good idea if you've read it first. I've seen lots of cases where people have shared things and they get halfway down the article and the guy starts to go on a bit of a racist tangent or something. Like, oh, you thought that was good? Oh, I didn't read it. Okay, well, pay attention to who you're referring and why you're referring it. So social media is a great way to spread your message quickly. But it's also not a tool to stand there and promote like you do with traditional and direct. It's to share your expertise. It's to engage in dialogue with people. It's to find people with common interests. And it's to get conversations going about your business so that the marketplace starts to have a different understanding of who you are than just someone pushing products or pushing services. They start to say, wow, this is a real human being. They do a lot of things in the community. They're really involved in their business. Their staff have a lot more knowledge than I thought they did. I didn't realize those are all the things they've done. Have you ever had a customer buy something that you did only to find out later they said, I didn't know you did that? Did that ever happen to anybody? That's painful, isn't it? It's like, damn, why didn't you buy it from me? Well, I didn't know you did that. Social media is a great way for you to explain your whole business. How many of you have a website? Fantastic. The most important thing you can have is a website. It's the only place on the internet where you can control everything. Everything on social media is owned by the companies that own the social media tool. Facebook owns all the stuff on Facebook. YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, all of them. They own it all. It's theirs. They can shut your page off in a second and give you no explanation. They can put advertising on top of your page. I saw a credit union had a video on YouTube, and the ad below their video was for another credit union. So that was great. Eh? They were like, yeah, this is awesome. So YouTube and all those things are still great tools, but they're not the be-all, end-all. Your website is your greatest asset, because it's the only place where you truly control and own everything. So that's all I wanted to cover today, just sort of give you guys an idea that these three tactics should be employed. To the degree you do it depends on your market and your business, but they're very important that you use all three in your marketplace. Can I open it up to any questions or comments?
Larry, how many followers on Twitter?
How many followers do I have? Close to 1,400.
And that's not unrealistic?
Twitter claims that the average Twitter user has about 300, but then there are celebrities that have millions. I actually know the 1,300 people that I communicate with them. So you can go onto Twitter for about $300 and buy 10,000 followers in one day. You don't know any of them, so it's irrelevant. So if you want to be able to say, hey, look how cool I am, I have 10,000 followers, then go ahead and do that. But if you want to actually engage with people, it's a waste of time. Now, I will tell you, from 2008 until last September, I was on Twitter and I sent 7 tweets. That's what they're called when you send a message out. And from September to now, I've sent close to 1,800 tweets. So I was engaged before. I wasn't using the tool properly. Now I am. And because of that time, from September to now, we've landed $100,000 in direct business from connections that we've made through Twitter. Now, those Twitter connections then went into direct, where we had to go and see them and have a conversation and build the business. But they found us, started to follow us, started to learn about who we were and what we did and why we did it, see the other people we were speaking with, start to engage in us with dialogue on social media, and then we met them face to face. And when I met her, she walked up to me, she said, I feel like I know you already. As we were shaking hands, she said, I've been following you for 4 months. I said, stalker? No, I'm kidding. But it was really a great feeling that she said, I feel like I already know you because you've been sharing so much of your business and your world to us that I got to know and trust you, and I feel like you could really help us. So it was really interesting. And the other firm saw that we were helping a client get interns, and they asked if we could help them get interns, and we said sure. And we did. We helped them find a really great intern. Then after that, the intern talked so highly about us that they said, well, maybe we should bring you in for other things. And they ended up hiring us, actually to do their social media.
Larry, a lot of people spend a lot of money setting up a really nice web page. But can you give some advice on how to drive people to that page? Because if they don't know about your page, it's useless.
Absolutely. The greatest way to drive traffic to your website is to answer questions that people have about what you do. That's the simplest answer I can give you. So one thing we did recently, we said to a client, write down the top 25 questions you get asked the most. And he wrote that down. We said, now you're going to create 25 blog posts or articles or whatever you want to call it. And you're going to put up one a week on your website answering these questions. And then you're going to post them out into social media and email. His traffic has increased significantly because now search engines are also finding that information because those are the questions that people are also searching for. And his information is coming up because it's relevant, it's fresh, it's new, and he's answering questions. And he couldn't believe it. After a few months, he also started getting people asking more questions. And he was like, hey, there's actually people reading this stuff. And I said, yeah, isn't that crazy? It's amazing how many people watch your content. Neil and I have produced over 100 videos on our website. Some of them we interview business owners, and some are us rambling on about whatever. But we've had close to 6,000 views of our videos in just over 1 year. So that's significant traffic that people are seeing what we do before we ever meet them. And you'd be surprised how many people go online first. If you're not online, you're out of mind. And it's very, very true. And we're not saying spend thousands of dollars on a website. That's by no means am I saying that. You can have a simple one-page website and still be very active. You can go to WordPress.com and have a free blog. It's be there and participate. And if you are, you will get results. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I gotta believe you because your name's Larry. So.
Okay. The brotherhood. I'm with you.
But where's the next step? Like looking down the road here, I mean, we've come a long way, speed and everything. Everybody should have had websites. I mean, we've had one 10 years, probably the last couple of years it's been more active than ever. But everybody has to take time to do this. You sit there and you communicate, you do Facebook. I don't know about a lot of people, but I don't have a lot of time to sit there. Some of the other guys do that, they're much faster. But what's going to speed this up? What's going to speed up this communication down the road? I mean, what's the next step? Do you have any idea?
I do. I have a couple ideas. There's two parts to that. Number one, the one thing technology-wise that will speed it up is your phone. You can post. I do half of my Twitter feeds are from my phone when I'm out. I don't have to be at my computer. I can be at a stoplight, hopefully quick, not a too quick one. I can think of something and I can tweet. I can pretty fast with the thumbs now. I can post something. I can be at an event like this. I think I've tweeted a couple of times since I've been here. I can do things like that while I'm out and about and engaging, but I'm always thinking about my customer. So that's number one. The second thing is there's no such thing as time management. There's only priority management. So if this is important, you'll make the time. If it's not, you won't. We can't force anybody to embrace this technology. We talk to business owners all the time that say it's a waste of time, it's nonsense, it's not important. We were talking to Cotton Construction. You guys might know, ever heard of them in the Falls? And the second in command said, Facebook's a waste of time. LinkedIn's a waste of time. I said, no problem. I understand it. I said, do you think your customers are on there? He said, absolutely. Oh, okay. It's about where my customers are. Right. So not all of your customers are there, but there are people there. So for a lot of our clients, we'll say 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon or the early evening. That's all you need. But you have a plan about how you're going to do it. Just like you plan out what my ad is going to say, you plan out what you're going to say on social media. Sharing information, sharing your knowledge is the greatest thing you can do to build a following online. Every one of you have experience and knowledge. You have horror stories, you have success stories. Case studies are wonderful things to share online of things that you've done. But if you don't talk about you, you talk about the people you've helped, people love to engage with those stories.
Did you send out any tweets about our club during the lunch? Just out of curiosity.
I did this morning. I put it on Facebook. I put a link to your website. I've had quite a few people liking that and commenting on my Facebook page. And I did tweet your web address as well this morning. So I was trying to get traffic to your site for people to see what it's all about. But absolutely, it's everywhere I go, and before I go, I will snap a picture of the room and I'll post that online too. So if you're not supposed to be here, just turn your head.
So is that something where you get, just in a general sense, for an example, you get traction from that? People might say, hey, St. Catherine's Business Club, I've never heard of it, or I've heard of it, but Larry's there, and we follow Larry, and he's a speaker there. So
Yeah, social media is not one event. It's a series of events. It's long term. You have to make a commitment to be there. So social media is similar to making a commitment to be in direct sales. You don't make one phone call and then go, oh, he didn't answer the phone. I guess he doesn't need anything. It's not. We know how it's not like that. Social media is about meeting individuals and sharing, and also sharing what they share. So you go onto someone's page and go, that's really interesting, and you forward it. And you're now helping them, so they're more interested in sharing what you have. So it's a scratching the back type of thing, you know what I'm getting at? But the more time you're there, the more credibility you build up. So I've been on social media now for about 3 years and really heavily into it for about 1.5 years. And because of that, I'm seeing the rewards. I saw another hand somewhere. Yes, sir.
Larry, you said I think 1,400 people are following you. What is an acceptable read rate? Because somebody's following you doesn't mean they're reading everything.
Absolutely. At any given time, there's about 10% of your Twitter followers online is what Twitter, their stats indicate. So at any given time, there's 100 to 200 people on there that I know. But at the same time, if you're interested in me, you can go back to my page and look at what I've tweeted throughout the day. And I have that quite a bit. Well, I'll have some people will retweet my information days later because they went back and they wanted to see what I was going to say or what I was sharing that day. And I'm amazed at some of the people that want to connect with me. I've had best-selling authors that that are my heroes, and they connect with me before I connected with them. How does that happen? I've had a ton of business owners in Niagara that I've never heard of their business, but they connected. And then we started to learn about each other's businesses, and it's like, wow, I didn't even know anybody did that in Niagara. And you start to share that. But they're doing it in a way of, they're not saying, I have a special today, here's my 99-cent special. They're saying, here's how we do this. Here's a process for this. If you're ever thinking of doing this, this is something to watch out for. They're being informative, and that's making people attracted to them. So the acceptable number is, the number of followers isn't as important as the number of people engaging with you. Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, you have time for one more question.
Sure. Yes.
Just ask one other thing.
Sure.
On the curve of people of age, we've seen different age groups go through the mediums and
Yep.
go through the baby boomers and then the new group. And what nucleus group here do you feel is really into this? Is it the 30 to 35? Is it the 20 to 25? Are they moved on? Have we grown? Are we 35 to 40? What target group are we looking at that's actually engrossed in this? I mean, we all know the kids are into it. They're walking everywhere in the headphones and everything. But that's, for a business or for a small business, we're targeting people.
Yeah.
And every business has their own target, whether it's clothes or us or.
Yep.
Well, what group of, where are we in society that is actually using this to a great degree? I mean, where is it peaked right now?
Sure.
Is it 35? Is it 38? Is it 43? Is it 20?
The answer is no. It hasn't peaked anywhere, and it depends on the platform. The fastest growing segment of Facebook is 65 plus.
65?
65 plus, because people want to connect with their grandchildren. So and Facebook is so easy to use that it's nothing for a 65-year-old. If you can use email, you can use Facebook. It's easy. It's basically just click and type, right? I mean, it's that simple. Twitter is more of a younger generation, but I've also seen people of all ages on Twitter. Twitter is more about connecting with people that have similar interests of you. Facebook is about connecting with friends and family, and LinkedIn is a professional network. So LinkedIn's age group is definitely skewing older than Twitter, but there is no set demographic. It's not what you would think it is. Now, do the Gen Ys, the 20-year-old kids, are they more adept at using it? Absolutely. They can text while they're talking to you. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, that's not a problem. And they're doing a bunch of things. But that doesn't mean you can't still sit down on LinkedIn once a day and connect with 3 people and find out what their business does and share what you do. Right? Age is irrelevant. It's more priority. If connecting with people is your priority, then social media is something you can't ignore. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.